Hey everybody, this episode of Worst Episode Ever is brought to you by our friends at jock.com, joq.com. These are guys who make websites. They're making apps, they're making videos, they're branding. They can make your app. Do you need an app? Jack, do you need an app? I'm talking to you now.
I just found this out. Do you know that app is short for application?
I thought it was
It's not appetizer.
I thought it was appetizer.
I thought it was like, yeah, you want to have like a computer program. First you got to sample.
You sample
the app. Yeah, like the mozzarella sticks. But no, it's applications. You're applying the app towards whatever you happen to be doing.
To your vacation.
Like
a vacation. If you're okay, so you have appetizers on vacation, and that's what an application is.
And jock.com will just give you those buffalo wings. And
absolutely. Digital buffalo wings.
Absolutely.
So jock.com, joq.com, they are sponsoring today's episode, and you should check their website out if you have any digital business solutions you need taken care of. You want an app made, you need a website.
What do you mean? I've heard that phrase before. I've never thought about it. What is digital business solution? What is a solution?
I have no idea. If you have a problem with your digital business, they're going to solve it for you. All you got to do is email them and say, hey, jock.com, I need help.
Solve this problem.
And they're going to swoop in and be like, we got your back, mate, because we're in the UK, and this is Australian. I'm sure he doesn't appreciate this.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't.
But anyway,
check's cleared, right?
The check is cleared, so that is fine. Jock.com sponsor this episode. If you are interested in their services, you can email them, mention the promo code, which is WEECRUISE, W-E-E Cruise, and they will give you a great deal. They're going to give you free web hosting for 1 year. That's like a really, really good deal. It's a little disappointing that it's like not actually a cruise, but maybe we'll get there. It's probably the next.
I just want to make that clear. I don't want people to accuse us or jock.com of false advertising. If you type in the promo code WEECRUISE, there's still not exactly a real boat or anything that will be on yet. Yet.
Keyword being yet. So thanks for listening, and thanks jock.com for supporting this episode.
Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive. Worst episode ever.
Hey everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons, by people who love The Simpsons, about how much we hate The Simpsons. We're here trying to find which is the worst episode ever. And my name is Dan.
And my name is Jack.
And today we are going to be watching an episode from Season 15. It originally aired December of 2003. It is called Today I Am a Clown. Jack, have you seen this one?
Maybe. I thought... now I'm concerned this isn't the episode I thought it was, because I'm pretty sure the episode I was thinking of came out much later than 2003.
I don't know what this episode is. It seems like it's an episode where Krusty gets bar mitzvahed or something. I mean, that's what I was thinking of with Mr. T.
Yeah.
With Mr. T. I don't know. Mr. T is in this episode,
right.
yes.
I could have sworn this was only a couple of years ago.
And Jackie Mason reprises his role.
Life is fleeting. I guess 12 years just went by in a flash.
We've been doing this podcast for 12 whole years.
I know. It's been a very... very long day.
We started the night that this episode aired with this podcast, before podcast existed.
There's actually a great analogy for our joke about, or our not joke, but our reality that we've recorded all our episodes in the same day.
Yeah.
The first part of the Doctor Who Season 9 finale it was one of the best episodes ever, and it had a very cool plot involving a time loop that I don't want to spoil for anybody.
Okay.
You should watch it. It was one of the best episodes of all time. But it's basically the Doctor is tortured for a very long amount of time, and it just kind of reminded me of recording this show.
All right, so
we'll leave it at that.
So, worst episode ever, the podcast that's like torturing an immortal. Delightful. So
that's our new slogan.
It's like torturing an immortal. So we're going to take a break in a moment and watch this episode. If you haven't watched it, you can do so on simpsonsworld.com if you are in the U.S. If you're not in the U.S., you can buy this episode in a number of places, but we hope that you'd buy it from amazon.com.
Yeah,
if you want to support the show.
Last minute Christmas shopping.
Last minute Christmas. Well, it's not last minute yet. It's only like December or whatever.
You should have taken care of it. Also,
I haven't bought a single Christmas present, so you're worrying me.
I haven't either, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm very broke. But
there's just no Christmas in Wii Studios this year.
Everybody's getting a dollar scratch off. Also, I don't think we've said it. This is our Hanukkah episode.
Okay, yes.
Hanukkah started...
Hanukkah begins today. Today, so and ends Monday, December 14th.
So this should be coming out, I believe, the 5th day of Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah to our Jewish and our non-Jewish Hanukkah celebrating listeners.
Yeah, Rich, my friend Rich, I know that he's a listener.
Yeah, so if you haven't... this is definitely last-minute Hanukkah shopping. You've only technically got 3 crazy nights left.
And I hope the first few were very crazy for you.
So, yeah, do your Hanukkah shopping, do your Christmas shopping, do your Kwanzaa shopping, do your, what's the atheist one?
There's an atheist Christmas?
Yeah, it's like the new...
winter solstice. I don't know.
Oh, no, I forget what it is. I think it's also December 26th. But
Okay.
They also wanted a holiday.
Oh,
the
fair
atheists.
enough.
Yeah, no.
That seems to defeat the point of being an atheist.
Well, you don't believe in God, so you don't get presents?
No, of course not. Why are you giving presents?
What about agnostics? What do we get?
Yeah, well, we haven't decided yet.
Fair enough. And also this Tuesday, too, if you're looking for some Christmas shopping or some Hanukkah shopping.
Or just a good time.
Good time. New sync points this Tuesday.
Yes,
Home Alone 2.
Our movie commentary
Lost
series.
in New York.
We're watching Home Alone 2.
Me, Dan, and a special guest will be watching Home Alone 2 and
yeah.
talking over the movie. It's just as good as the movie, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Anyway, whether you're Jewish, Christian,
Muslim.
Muslim, Kwanzaa celebrating, not atheists,
Pastafarian.
agnostic maybe, whoever you are, whatever you do, whatever you believe in,
You're
shop
shopping
through
on
our
Amazon,
website. Shop
yeah.
through our, you're using Amazon.
You're using Amazon, whoever you are. So go to wepodcast.com first and click through our links, and then shop like you normally would. We get a small cut, helps keep the show free, helps keeps us supported. And big thanks again to Jock.com, who are back. They sponsored another episode.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So thanks for that. And now we're going to take a break and watch Today, I Am a Clown.
Oh, without a bar mitzvah, I'm nothing.
Krusty, you can still have your bar mitzvah as an adult.
That'd be great. Are you sure that's kosher?
There's nothing in the Talmud that forbids it.
How do you know all this stuff?
I have a Jewish imaginary friend. Her name is Rachel Cohen, and she just got into Brandeis.
Wonderful.
So that was Today I Am a Clown.
It sure was, Jack.
All right. So, yeah, that was definitely the episode I was thinking of. I can't believe it's from 2003. I remember them making a big deal. I remember the commercials.
I don't remember. I have never seen or heard of this
I
episode
remember them
before.
promoting the hell out of it. When in 2003 did it come out?
December 7th.
So I was in college. I wasn't watching TV at the time.
So like almost exactly, what year is it now? 12 years.
Yeah. No, that's really weird that I remember it. I don't know. That's
This episode is almost ready to be bar mitzvah.
Mazel tov.
Whoa. Mazel tov is right.
So let's do a plot recap real quick. After a couple of non sequitur, non starters, Krusty is walking through the Jewish neighborhood of Springfield with one of Santa's little helper's poodle puppies, and he realizes he's not on the Jewish Walk of Fame, so he inquires about that, and that's where he admits has never been bar mitzvahed, so he's technically not Jewish and he can't be on the Walk of Fame. So he meets up with his dad. Wait, so does he want to get bar mitzvah just to get on the Walk of Fame, or now he's just like, nah, it's about time I get this?
Yeah, he wants to get bar mitzvahed so he can be on the Walk of Fame. It was a requirement to be on
but
there.
that's it? It wasn't like that just made him think of it, and then he was like, all right, now I really should just do this, get this out of the way?
No, it was just to get on the Walk of Fame.
Okay. So, yeah, he meets his dad, and he starts training for his bar mitzvah. If training's the right word, I don't know.
There was a montage where he's like chasing a chicken, trying to grab it, pushing a tire up a mountain.
But not a pig, a chicken.
Definitely not a pig. And no milk.
So in the meantime, he needs somebody to fill in for him on the show. So he gets Homer thinking that, okay, I want somebody who's not going to outshine me and take my place. But of course, people really respond to Homer's talk show panel with Lenny, Carl, and Mo. It's very working class, relatable, so he becomes a big star. Krusty gets fired, and then the only way to get back into showbiz is to make a huge live presentation out of his bar mitzvah, like a big televised Fox type to do, larger than life type bar mitzvah with Mr. T. He does so. And meanwhile, Homer takes Lisa's advice and tries to use his power for good and try to make his show more political. And he gets canceled right away. And then I guess did they say at the end of Krusty's bar mitzvah gets his show back, or they just
Nope.
All right, so yeah, Krusty just gets bar mitzvahed, and then he gets a real bar mitzvah, like a more low key one for no reason at all.
And then it ends.
And we'll talk about that, but that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just go scene by scene. So it opens up with everybody waiting in line for the bathroom.
Well, first it opened up with Ring of Fire was
Oh,
playing.
yeah. I did want to talk about that.
There was just a static shot of the house, and
Yeah.
the sun was coming up. There's nothing happening, and Ring of Fire just plays. Like
Yeah,
the
an
opening
instrumental version.
Well,
Yeah.
it was the actual opening of the actual
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
And then That was for like maybe 20 to 30 seconds?
No, it was like, if it was longer than usual, it wasn't really 20. It
was-
was like 5 seconds. But
It was probably about 20 to 25
it's
seconds.
5 seconds.
And then it cuts to Homer singing a parody of
Yeah.
Ring of Fire.
Like the
It was
Ring
so
of
weird.
Ring of China or whatever.
Well, I have a frothing whiz into a bowl of China.
Well, this was late 2003, and what's funny is I feel like this was right in Johnny Cash's last big re-renaissance before he died. He actually died in
Right.
December of 2003.
Well, Hurt,
Hurt was
his cover of
earlier
Hurt-
that year.
Yeah, it was also 2003.
And that
yeah.
Hurt was what really brought him in the young people's minds. People like
Right.
us, we were like, oh, wow, this Johnny Cash guy's really cool.
Yeah.
And he's more than just that black and white photo of him giving the finger that's in every college dorm.
Or the episode where
yeah.
he plays a coyote.
Yeah. And he also died that month. He died the same month it aired because I remember he died the same day John Ritter died. A lot of celebrity deaths in this episode.
Yeah.
They both died the same day. And it's like, oh man, this legend died, but he was old.
And also Johnny Cash.
But he was, that's what I say. He's old. He was dying.
Yeah.
So even though he was a huge legend, John Ritter's death was so sudden that it was much more like shocking.
Right.
So John Ritter kind of got all the. Kind of the same with Farrah Fawcett, Michael Jackson. How like everybody was so sad
It's
she
like,
was
oh, man,
dying.
Farrah Fawcett. Wait, what?
Yeah, and then when she died, Michael Jackson died the same day.
Yeah.
So I guess it had nothing to do with his death because the timing doesn't work out. But I'm guessing this
Well, maybe
was in reaction to Hurt and his repopularity.
Maybe they were. Had he died when this episode aired? Maybe there was a
It
reaction.
would be very, very close. I don't think it was. I don't think this is related to him dying. I think
I
it's
would've
related
thought-
to Hurt coming out and him becoming popular again.
I don't even. I think that's a stretch, but I think if it was about him dying, they would have had like in memoriam Johnny Cash and put a picture of him with his like coyote.
Maybe.
Avatar
I mean, I don't
from
know
the-
what the dates are exactly, but they were close
Yeah.
together.
Well, I thought that was weird, and
Yeah.
it's the whole beginning is just this very, very weird thing where everyone's waiting online in the bathroom at the Simpson house,
Yeah, online in the bathroom. I agree.
right? Which is weird because they have more than one bathroom. We've seen it. Homer and Marge have a bathroom in their bedroom.
I didn't even think about
this
that.
is the kids'
I
bathroom.
didn't even think about that. You're
Yeah.
100% right.
I don't really know what that
That's
was all
my
about.
dream one day is to have a bedroom
have
right
multiple
off of the bathroom. A bathroom right off of the bedroom.
My dream is to just sleep in the bathroom and like you could just pee the bed because you're already in the bathroom.
I'm also really spoiled because my apartment's not very large.
No.
My bathroom technically really is just like there's just like
You just have to take one step
there's
out.
6 inches of hall between the bathroom and the bedroom, but that
Yeah.
still doesn't. I want a bathroom
Right there.
Like it looks like a closet, but it's a.
It's a bathroom.
I want that suburban American dream.
But yeah, Maggie has locked herself into the bathroom, so no one can get in, and she's just kind of in there by herself, bouncing a ball against the
Yeah,
door.
for whatever reason.
And it's just kind of it leads nowhere. Homer tries to get her out with a
Coat hanger,
which was awkward because he's pushing the coat hanger through the keyhole, and there's this whole montage where not montage, but a whole scene where he's basically just missing stabbing Maggie in the head.
The joke is he's trying to help her, and he's coming very dangerously close to
Right,
blinding
to
her,
really
killing
hurting her.
But it's awkward that it's
Very
with a
awkward.
coat
There's a coat hanger for a baby.
Yeah,
There's some unpleasant connotations there,
Yeah.
definitely. And also, Maggie knocks over a bottle of clearly marked Pepto-Bismol. So I just want to point out that we're onto it. The Pepto-Bismol people clearly paid some money to be in this episode.
In league with the saucer people and
and
the reverse
vampires.
vampires.
It's all the Rand Corporation. And that was just kind of it. And then they're just lamenting.
I loved when the Pepto-Bismol fell and rolled under the door, and Homer tasted it, and he thought the thick pink Pepto was baby blood.
Right. Yeah, it was I don't know.
It's just
it
a
didn't do
funny
anything for me.
concept. It's a weird thing to
That babies would have different blood.
But it makes sense if you if you don't think about it or if you think about it. One of those, it makes sense.
Right. So yeah, and then they get Maggie out because Lisa tries with the coat hanger, and she had a line that was okay.
I
that
like
was
it.
like, yeah, I tried the coat hanger again. Why do we only try things once?
Yeah, and
That's
that's
a pretty good
that's
line.
not just a meta Simpsons joke. That's like every cartoon ever, even Wile E. Coyote. It's like
Right.
this freak set of coincidences happened, and your perfect plan was foiled. But if you
Right.
did it again and those things didn't happen, it would probably
it'd
work.
probably work. It's a pretty good
I
plan.
thought that was a fun little line.
Yeah, it was okay. And then there's a knock on the door. Maggie is free, and that's it. We don't come back to this whole. That was just this weird opening. With
Yeah.
Maggie being trapped in the bathroom.
Yeah, it doesn't tie into the
Doesn't tie
second
into
non sequitur
anything.
first act.
Right, this at least starts the plot in
Right,
motion,
right.
like you were saying. They get the knock on the door. It's Dr. Hibbert who is there to give them a box full of puppies because Santa's little helper
Knocked
is
up
not
his
actually
dog.
fixed as
Yeah.
they originally thought he was. But he knocked up his poodle, and there's a few poodle puppies, poodle/greyhound.
Yeah.
Groodles?
Yeah, I didn't think they were. I don't.
Poohounds?
I personally don't really like the look of French poodles when they're all
Right, when they have
dolled up like
the
that.
froofy little
yeah, so I didn't think the
balls.
dogs were very attractive, but
Oh, I did. I thought they were very cutely
I mean they had
animated.
his face, but I don't know. I really just don't like that puff of.
Well, just the different scenes of the dogs, like with Snake, like licking Snake's face, and
Yeah.
with Krusty, I thought they looked very, very cute. But anyway, yeah, you and I were both very not shocked. I guess mildly surprised because we've certainly seen this
right.
before. When we said, "Hey, they've done this exact plot
Yeah,
before,"
yeah, and then they bring it up.
and then they bring that up, and the way they bring it up. I
Yeah,
think
Lisa
you know that
said.
I don't
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
But
Lisa says actually he's had puppies before and we gave them away. Mr. Burns tried to take them. Whatever she said. She recapped
Right.
the plot to 2001 Greyhounds.
Right, and we see that she's actually reading from the episode
The
guide
complete guide.
available in our world.
Yeah, yeah. The one that I've memorized all the season colors.
Yeah, what color was season 6, which is when
Season
22
6
and a half
was
Greyhounds
lime
came out?
green, I believe.
Okay. Someone check them out.
And maybe navy blue letters in it. I don't remember. But here's my headcanon.
Okay.
The Simpsons guide is actually like a family photo album or like scrapbook type journal, and they thought it would be cute to put that cover as their cover.
I'll buy it. I'll buy
Okay,
that. That
thank
works.
you. Also, there was a line right before that where he's arguing with Hibbert. Hibbert just gives him the cardboard box full of
Yep.
puppies and walks off, and Homer goes, "You just lost a box, pal."
Yeah, I thought that was
That's like
really
a funny Homer line.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So yeah, they give Dr. Hibbert gives the family all these puppies. Should I stop?
There's like
really, really loud.
riot police.
I feel like
Like the 1968 is happening out there.
We may be invaded right now.
Yeah, so then they do a flashback of how Santa's Little Helper was supposedly neutered, but he wasn't, and it's
Right,
Homer.
after the famous episode from season 6 where he has the 25 greyhounds that Mr. Burns takes.
Yeah, and Homer takes him out like on a wild night out of sex and partying before he loses his nards.
Right,
and
which was I thought a good idea, but it went to some odd places.
Certainly went to some odd places. First of all, there's Wang Alert.
There was a
do
Wang
we have
alert.
a sound effect for a Wang Alert? I mean, obviously it should just be like boing. Or something.
All right, insert a sound effect here.
Well, I'm not going to do it.
all right.
I'm trying to minimize my workload here with the post-production, but I'll just do the sound effect. A boing.
Wait,
Yeah, all right.
that wasn't worth it.
Sure. So anyway, Wang Alert. Homer uses the word Wang for at least, what, I want to say 6. Is that is that overcompensating? Is it at least 6 times now we've seen them
we've
use the
seen
word Wang in a
number
post-classic
of
episode
times.
we've covered here.
It's one of their favorite words, I think.
Yeah,
In the
I mean it's a
writers' room.
funny word, but
It's a funny
you
word,
got to
but
use it in
better used sparingly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he talks about the dog's Wang, and then he takes him to a hooker, a human hooker
Well,
who has.
first they go to a puppy porno theater.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to have
Yeah.
in the world.
It's true,
they were-
because I'm assuming it's mostly humans in there.
Yeah, right. Very odd. Like, is that?
Although I'm sure there's millions of YouTube or RedTube or PornTube videos that are
Right.
probably just that.
Oh, you're sure, as if you don't know,
I'm
Jack.
assuming. I'm assuming.
You want to see a greyhound and a poodle get it
I'm
on?
assuming.
There's videos out
I'm
there.
assuming
you know
that if you go to dogtube dot xxx / there's a good one. Just put in 00210 is the number of the video. The comment section is very funny.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean I'm assuming all of this. I'm assuming all of
of
it.
course.
But actually, they've done funny human porn titles
Yes.
before, and there was a funny dog porn title on Golden Retriever.
That's
It's
the only one I remember,
Yeah,
yeah.
as opposed to on Golden Pond. I
Yep.
thought that was funny.
That was funny. But it's just weird to think that Springfield. I mean, Springfield's a weird place to begin with, but the fact that they have a dog porno theater.
That seems something more like Night Vale than Springfield.
Yeah, right. Extra creepy. But then, Homer takes him to a dog prostitute. And it's basically.
Well, it's a human prostitute
human
who has a
prostitute.
dog that she's
Right.
also whoring out.
So I guess in addition to being a human prostitute, she's also a dog pimp. Is that?
Yeah,
and also,
she's a prostitute and a pimp. She's
she also
she's
plays air
she's
hockey.
she's entrepreneurial.
Yeah, that's
she's
good.
trying to break out.
Yeah.
So
weird.
Yeah,
you see,
so
you see Santa's Little Helper and the dog prostitute.
and the
go
dog
into a
prostitute's
bush.
like dressed up in like a traditional hooker
Yeah,
garb
just
with
like
the boots
a
and the
lot of
leather.
makeup.
And
Yeah,
it's awkward. You don't.
It was really
You don't
weird.
really like just because like you don't want to see sex workers and sex transactions on The Simpsons, even
Right.
if it's
Even if it's
maybe
dogs.
especially if it's dogs.
Maybe especially if it's a dog, but we did actually see a human. Like,
that's
we
kind of
don't know that she was a prostitute.
we've seen hookers before, like outside of Fort Bragg,
right
in The Simpsons, but
it's always a little cartoonier. Or?
Yeah, it was a little adult,
Yeah, this was a little blue,
a little mature.
Right. Big question on my mind. Homer pays the prostitute money to play air hockey with him, which
Yeah.
is a funny gag that Homer would pay
$350 an hour.
Right, not for sex, but to play air hockey. Did he tip her?
No,
Did he
I
tip
mean,
her afterwards?
you got, like, I don't know. The consensus on Reddit seems to be you don't tip because they're charging exorbitantly already.
Exactly.
But, I mean, I don't know. You go to McDonald's, you pay $4.50 for a Big Mac. Isn't that charging exorbitantly?
Yes, but the person...
you don't tip at McDonald's,
The person
so
you're not
that's
tipping
never
at
mind.
McDonald's isn't making the food.
Yeah,
You should tip Ronald McDonald after you have
Well, you
sex with
do.
him.
You have that glass house with the... He claims it's for sick kids or whatever.
I don't give them any money.
Yeah,
Those kids can
all
get
right. So
healthy on their
I'll
own.
just go with the general populace, and also because I'm broke, I won't tip for illegal activities if I
Okay.
ever come across them.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe if it's a bit like if you're buying arms, if you're buying like a nuclear warhead from like
Which
like
I do often,
former
personally.
Russian general,
Yeah.
I feel like you should buy him like a nice bottle of wine or something as like a thank you. I mean, yes, you're paying him for the transaction.
Right.
I don't know. I'm kind of traditional in like the send
like
a
a Miss Manners kind of
handwritten
thing.
thank you note. You
Right.
know, I don't know.
When you're buying your warheads.
Yeah, so if and when I get a blowjob from a hooker,
Right.
I feel like
For a second, I thought you were going to say if I get a blowjob
Yeah.
from a Russian general.
I don't know. I feel like I would probably slip an extra 20, or maybe mint. Maybe give her a gum. Maybe okay. Offer some gum. Can we agree that
We can agree on offering
like
some
leaving
gum.
when you're leaving together, or you just go,
Well-
but you take out a piece of gum for yourself and you're like, would you like one?
Yes, I would offer her one, but if she's a real professional, she probably has a little mouthwash.
Yeah,
She's ready to
like
roll.
like one of those really nice bathroom attendants where they have just a whole smorgasbord.
Right, exactly. By the way, this episode is brought to you by Jock.com, JOQ.com.
What's your tipping the bathroom attendant?
Yeah.
I have a very
My honest opinion?
Yeah.
If there is a bathroom attendant, I immediately leave the bathroom. It's too
yeah,
awkward of a situation.
I know. I don't when I can't. I try to avoid it if I can. I don't like it.
Yeah.
With it's expensive, but you're probably in an expensive place if you have a bathroom attendant.
Right.
My philosophy, what I almost always do, is every other time. So I'll
Okay.
give him $1. It's really awkward on the time. I pee a lot, by the way. So
Yeah.
this is like 6-8 times a night.
Right. See, I would just think you'd be like, oh, did I tip last time? Yeah, I probably did. And you would just never actually tip.
Yeah. I mean, what's awkward is that when you're on there when you're not tipping. I frequent the bathroom, so I'm hoping he remembers me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like because he's still helping you. He's giving you the paper towel. I don't need you to give me the paper towels. I can reach for the paper towel.
Right.
But you can't. He's there. So I just want to. I just kind of like I'll get you next time. I try to say something like that, but not in a
Yeah.
douchey way.
Right. They're like, oh, sure you will.
You're right. You should try to just avoid the situation entirely.
So 2 questions. One, 2 comments, I guess. My first comment is when I'm in the bathroom, it is a silence zone. Like if I go to the bathroom at work and like I know someone, I give
Yeah.
them at most like a subtle nod. Yes, I recognize that we know
at
each
most
other.
subtle nod. I really, even if I'm very friendly with people at work, I try to bring it up in a natural conversation outside of the bathroom. Just like I don't know. There's no talking.
There's no
If you're
talking.
standing next to me
Like
in a
Dr.
urinal,
Cox in
it's
Scrubs.
eyes forward.
No talking in the bedroom at all.
I'm also somewhat pee shy, and I've gotten over it, but I
Yeah.
still kind of gotta concentrate.
I know. I sometimes I come up to you in the bathroom and just go booga booga
No,
booga.
and then I
you're like,
can't pee for 3
go.
days. No. If you're in the bathroom, it's just once you start washing your hands, maybe you could do
Right.
one of those I know right kind of looks.
Here we are in the bathroom.
Yeah, but not while there's actual
No.
things coming out of your body.
And my other comment: when you get your bathroom off your bedroom, are you going to have a bathroom attendant in there?
Oh,
Is it
definitely.
different if it's in your house? If he's your employee?
I was just gonna make my girlfriend just stay in there at all times with an assortment of Big Red and
Okay.
juicy fruit.
Okay. Now what you need that gum for? We'll move on.
Oh, jeez. Cut that. Cut all this. So, yeah, and there was a dumb cat lady joke.
Well, before that, the actual place that Homer takes Santa's little helper to get fixed. He doesn't actually end up getting him fixed, but it was called Nuts Landing.
Yeah.
Not bad.
It's not bad.
Not the worst.
That doesn't really. What does that mean? They're landing on the floor when you snip them from the top?
I guess. It's just Nuts
guess.
Landing.
Yeah. No, I know, but
I know. I just like nuts.
yeah. And then they talk about how to get rid of the puppies, and like we can't just give them away to some crazy person. And then there's a beat. It doesn't happen right away. There's a beat.
Right.
And then Cat Lady shows up and goes, rah, 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 rah.
It was
And then
like disappointed,
then
like
she,
crazy girl.
not at first, and then like she gets disappointed, even though she must have heard the thing that disappointed her first.
Yeah.
But then the joke, you would have had to do too much mental math for the joke,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
So yeah, she just comes, does her gibberish, then does disappointed gibberish, then
Right.
walks away, and then there's another beat of nothing, and then it was
Right.
just like, what the fuck was that?
Guys, close your door. Close the front door. You
Close-
have 2 bathrooms.
shut the front door.
Shut the front door.
Shut the front door.
I don't believe this family.
Yeah, no. It reminded me of when you do Dalek or Hemus, where like she just came, did the voice for the sake of doing the gibberish, and then
I don't know what you're talking about. I am not doing a voice. These are actual people. They're outside. You want me to get them to come
No,
in?
I don't. I believe you. I believe
Listeners,
you.
I think the listeners would like me to bring Hemus
All
in
right.
for a quick moment.
Friend of the show, Bryce. I don't know if I've brought this up to you yet. Friend of the show.
Is Hemus going to be heartbroken?
Friend of the show, Bryce, had an idea that maybe we do like an Andy Kaufman SNL type thing where we put up a vote and we will kill off one of the characters permanently.
I'm into that.
Yeah?
I'm into it.
Let's see. If you guys are into it, let us know in the Reddit in the comments.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll, in January or something, we'll...
Let's do it on the Reddit. Like,
well-
for the posting for this episode, tell us which character should go.
Oh, I was gonna say just see if you guys were up for the vote. I guess it's assuming
just start
you're all.
voting. I
all
assume most people would like to never
Are we
hear us-
locking in if whoever they vote for?
Sideshow Mel is on the table, by the way.
Sideshow Mel's on the table. Hemus, the Daleks, Groofik's on the table. Little
It's on the
Ghost Girl.
table. LGG's there.
Let us know, and we may or may not permanently kill them.
And Jack's dad is there, too, I'm sorry to say.
Jesus.
Hey, Jackie boy, don't let them take me!
Now they're gonna.
I'm sorry, I'm going to see myself out.
Yeah, so maybe we'll permanently kill them. I don't know. They might regenerate. They
We'll
might come
see.
back.
They
Oh,
may-
yeah, DiCaprio's certainly on the list.
Well, I mean, DiCaprio is everyone and everything. So
Yeah.
if you kill him, you kill all of them.
then there's nothing.
And then there's nothing. Then we just have no show anymore.
All right, so then are we done with this dog plot?
The one last thing I want to mention about the dog plot is Homer begins choking Santa's little helper.
Yeah.
And I realize I like that even less than I like him choking Bart.
You animal
and
torture.
you know, I'm a big animal
yeah.
guy. I support the Humane
It's
Society.
children is a bit of a variable, but it's kind of just
Bart
general.
knows he did something wrong.
It's
Santa's
general
little helper-
knowledge that you can watch a movie, and no matter how many humans are killed in a horrible way,
Yeah.
it's much less distressing than seeing one animal get hurt.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't like
It's like
seeing animals
the,
get
the,
hurt,
the,
even for jokes.
This is in everything, but the classic example that always comes to my mind is when I saw Independence Day.
Mm-hmm.
L.A. gets destroyed right after Washington D.C. and New York.
Yeah.
And characters we already grew to like Harvey Firestein.
Right.
And L.A. is being destroyed. Millions of people are being incinerated instantly. One golden retriever happens to outrun the fire and jump out of the way just in time, and the audience cheered.
Yeah.
And I was very happy. I was very relieved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like it was probably thousands of other dogs as well that were incinerated in the
Yeah.
explosion.
But we didn't see them. We don't have a connection
You're right.
to them.
But we did see millions of humans killed at that same moment.
Right.
But one dog,
Interestingly enough, that dog went on to star in on Golden Retriever.
that dog's probably dead by now.
Well, now, yes. Independence Day was 21 years
Yeah,
ago.
I watched so many movies from like the early '90s. Now I'm just like, that dog's dead.
Yeah, that's just like Marge with hang in there, kitty. Yeah, 1979, no matter what, that cat's long dead. Anyway,
So we get to Krusty. They cut to Krusty. He's watching TV. He's bored with life.
yeah. I thought it was funny he goes to the fridge and all he has is champagne and Slim Fast.
Yeah,
and
that's-
he mixes them together.
I would say, this was a mediocre episode like any other post-classic episode, but it was less terrible than most we've watched in general, and I would say that Krusty as a character and the Krusty type jokes were better than I expected.
I
There
agree.
were a lot of Krusty character jokes that could have even worked in the classic era.
There are a lot of storytelling problems in this episode
Yes.
that we'll definitely be getting into probably
Yes.
soon.
After we talk more about hookers and
Right.
peeing in public.
That's become our niche now on this podcast.
We should just
Studio
change it to
Tip Your
P
Hooker.
Studios.
Where the prostitutes are always getting tips.
Oh,
And then the shaft. I'm sorry, cut that maybe? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this episode did have a lot of funny lines and things.
Yeah, and
in
I
it.
think a lot of them were crusty centric.
A lot of them were crusty-centric,
And
yeah.
one for one in the Champagne and Slim Fast. That's a very crusty fridge.
Right. We'll just mention it really quick. We see Krusty is kind of flipping through the channels, and he's alone, and all he's got is champagne and Slim Fast, and he says, "Oh, this will pass the time." Meanwhile, we see the kids giving away the dogs.
Yeah.
I did like the scene where Bart and Lisa walk up to Snake, and they're like, "Hey, do you want a dog?" And he's like, "No, but I'll steal one."
Yeah.
And he pulls
Yeah.
a gun on them, which was also kind of weird. like this very realistic like Magnum just all of a sudden is in Bart and Lisa and a
It looked
dog's
more
face.
like a desert eagle.
Whoa. You're okay. Sorry, Chunk Neston.
I only know it because it was in Call of Duty 4.
All right. But I thought that was a funny idea of Snake. Like, he
He
can't.
can't. He has to steal it. Yeah, that
funny.
wasn't bad. What's interesting is so they set up a couple of character beats that Krusty is kind of bored with life and just kind of in a funk, and then the kids show up with a dog and he's just instantly takes it. He's like, yeah, I'll take it. I thought there could have been a beat where he was like, they tie it a little bit more into this malaise he's sunken into, and he's like, I don't need a dog. I'm fine by myself. And then the dog licks him or something, and then he goes, you know what? Maybe I could use some company. It's unsaid. I hate to repeat it from last week, but it's there in subtext that that the dog is like filling some kind of hole in his life right now. But I thought they could have done some kind of beat towards that effect. Is that fair?
I agree with you. I think a lot of the Krusty story here is not really done.
Yeah, especially because they set up this whole idea of, again, he's in a funk, he's kind of bored with life, there's nothing on TV, his fridge has two things.
You would think that he's going to get his bar mitzvah, and that's going to kind of, like how Krusty got his groove back.
Basically, this is the end of that. I guess the dog fixes that, because this does not tie into his bar mitzvah plot at all. That's filling a different hole in it. They don't ever tie it in together at all.
Right. I think when we get towards the end, I think we'll talk
yeah,
a
but that
about
is,
that.
I would say that's a storytelling defect. I think that should have tied in. Again, like I said last week with Homer and Grandpa, which you disagreed on, but I thought it seems to be a different character, like they're trying to tell a different story with that scene than the rest of the story.
Let's talk about this now then.
All right.
So we see that Krusty's kind of in a funk.
Yeah.
He gets the dog, and I think the idea is supposed to be that he'll take the dog because it's going to help him out, and that's kind of not tied into the whole bar mitzvah thing at all. What happens is the dog leads him on a walk to the Jewish district of Springfield, where he sees the Jewish Walk of Fame. Yeah. And then Krusty finds that he's not on it, and he needs to be baptized. He needs to be bar mitzvahed before he can get in there. Blah blah blah. That sets off the real bar mitzvah thing. What's never really addressed in the episode, and probably should have been, was why is Krusty getting the bar mitzvah? Like it's really so he can get on the Walk of Fame. But then at the very, very, very end of the episode, there's a very little scene where Krusty suddenly is doing the bar mitzvah for this kind of TV spectacular that Fox is putting on, and his father, who is a rabbi, is disappointed because he wanted him to have a much more staid and traditional bar mitzvah.
Is his father disappointed?
Kinda. Like they cut.
Does he say it?
Well, they see.
Or maybe we should save this. I feel like we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Well, but I just want to say, like, that's an idea that comes in at the very end that I think would have made a better backbone for this episode.
Yeah.
Like, play Krusty against his father, like, why, like, him wanting to get a bar mitzvah because it's a Jewish tradition and kind of for the pride of his heritage.
No, I think that's one of the fundamental problems with the storytelling is, there's no conflict with him and his father. His father seems to be fine with him doing this. I feel like we're getting way ahead of ourselves. All right, well, let's talk about the last scene of the show. So yeah, I agree. I feel like there should have been Krusty's dad should have been. He participated. He's the one that bar mitzvahs his son on this public spectacle. He should have. There should have been a few beats. There should have been the core conflict of the episode where he's like,
not really part of the story.
He should. Yeah, he's not, and he should have been like against this. He should be like, you're making a mockery of our religion.
Right.
This is not what being bar mitzvah is all about. You should take this seriously. He takes the training very seriously. It's kind of really the story's all over the place.
Yeah.
It doesn't. They don't know. There's no root. The characters aren't grounded in at all. They're doing whatever the scene calls for. But yeah, I think a way to fix that would have been having his dad against the whole prospect. Somehow he convinces his dad to do the reality show. Maybe even genuinely, maybe the dad sees the good in it. He's like, oh, maybe we'll spread the word of Judaism or something like that.
Right.
And then you wrap it up with, and then Krusty chooses to have a real private ceremony and take it seriously, and that appeases his father. And he does. Krusty, it is of Krusty's volition of choice to make it. He's not pressured into it, but there's no reason. He just does it.
It's just not. There was nothing building to it. It should have been a better story. I would have liked to have seen that story.
There was a lot of very interesting elements. They just there was not at all cohesive. I think originally it should. First of all, he should have got the bar mitzvah. If the Walk of Fame it leads to that, that's fine. But I think
Yeah.
the reason he wants to get bar mitzvahed should tie into this hole in his life that is not being filled.
Right, because why
Maybe
set
he has
that
a
up?
spiritual hole, you know.
But why do they even set that up? Like Krusty's just sitting on the couch listlessly going through the
Yeah.
TV, and he's just got nothing.
If anything, it seems, I don't know, this might be giving them too much credit. If anything, it just seems like they did that to make it more palatable that he takes the dog so easily, and the dog
guess,
is what
but-
gets him to the Walk of Fame.
But right after Krusty goes to the Walk of Fame, the dog is a non-entity
Yeah,
anymore.
none of the dogs are.
I actually like, we do see him, I think it's the very beginning of the second act, the first scene. The dog is still with Krusty,
Yeah.
but that's the last time we see
It'd be
him.
nice if, I doubt it, but it'd be nice if for the rest of the canon now, like how Pooh has kids,
Yeah,
Krusty has Santa's little helper, his
I doubt
poodle
it.
baby.
I doubt that happens. I mean,
yeah.
we haven't seen it, but...
Yeah, no, it's a real bummer. There was some really, it would have been a much stronger episode. And if anything, because the episode's not terribly unfunny, this would have
No.
been one of my favorite episodes if they did get the story right.
Yeah.
And it's so. It's there. It's not like you have to do it. You know, usually sometimes we rewrite the episode pretty radically. It's there. You have Jackie Mason as Herschel. And it makes perfect sense for him to not be okay with this Fox reality bar mitzvah.
Right.
They just have him be against it. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, that sets up a great conflict between two strong-willed characters, and
Yeah.
that, you know, that's fun. That's an episode. That's a story.
Yeah, no,
But they don't do that.
Why his dad? Like,
Instead,
why
they
would
give Homer a talk show.
Why
We'll
would
talk
his
about
dad
that
not? Especially, why would his dad not be? I guess it's maybe it's retreating their first episode together, where his dad was kind of disappointed he became a clown.
It is, but it isn't, because this is Krusty is trying to embrace the Jewish faith
Yeah.
in a different way than his father wants him to. I guess it's similar, but it's
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd think he would have been against. You'd be like, yeah, you know, you have Mr. T there for no reason. You think
Right.
like Herschel would be like, you couldn't even get like, I don't know, is Mr. T
Well,
Jewish? I don't know.
I don't
But,
think Mr. T's Jewish. I'm pretty sure it's
He
just
might be.
he's the least Jewish person.
I don't know. He might have converted.
He might have. I don't think
That
he
seems
has.
like a T thing to do.
Not pity the
I
fool.
don't
read
want to
Torah.
I don't want to underestimate Mr. T in any spiritual way. I feel like he's capable of pretty much anything.
Well, I think he actually is a fairly religious person,
Yeah.
especially now, but I don't think he's a Jew.
Okay.
Spin me, clown! I wish I had invested my money better.
So he's doing the Walk of Fame. There's a joke I really liked where he tells the dog to pee on Sandy Koufax's star
Right.
because he cost Krusty $10,000 by not playing on Yom Kippur, and Krusty
Right.
goes, "I did 5 shows that night."
Yeah.
And again, that's a very Krusty type joke where the showbiz, he's 90% showbiz, 10% Jewish. Like,
Right.
of course he would do 5 shows on Yom
Yeah,
Kippur.
right.
That joke would have landed in season 5.
Yeah, I think that was fine. I liked.
Oh.
Well, actually, I want to ask you about this joke. I don't know
Yeah.
that I liked it. They come to a star for Chaim Potok, who I had to look up. He's a Jewish author.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Krusty goes, "What is he? Some kind of Klingon?"
Yeah.
Is that offensive?
I don't think it's offensive. What's interesting is the joke is, hey, Hebrew, it sounds like Klingon because of all
guess,
the
yeah, all the-
throaty
right,
hard.
the-
But Krusty, if not knows Hebrew, he grew up with it.
Right.
That would make more sense for like Homer or somebody not.
exactly.
It doesn't make sense for Krusty to make the
Krusty
joke.
wouldn't say that,
It's
yeah.
a joke for joke's sake, and it's at the expense of a character. It doesn't make sense for Krusty to say it. And there's a much worse instance of this in the very same scene or right around there
Mm-hmm.
where. Krusty says something. It's like, "What am I, anti-Semitic?" And Rainier Wolfcat.
Well, it's because Krusty was never bar mitzvahed. He finds out, or he's never been bar mitzvahed, and he says, "Oh no, I'm not really a Jew. I always thought I was a self-hating Jew, but it turns out I'm just another anti-Semite." And Rainier Wolfcastle's walking by as Krusty says that, and turns around and is like, "Well, now we have something to talk about."
He goes, "We have much to discuss." Yeah. So not only is he anti-Semitic, but he's like passionately anti-Semitic. Rainier Wolfcastle. Now this is.
That is a very strange turn for this episode to make.
Yeah, so it's not even a turn. It's just this one moment, but it's a joke for joke's sake, and I'm using the word joke loosely here. The joke is, isn't it funny? Rainier Wolfcastle, who's not even German, he's Austrian.
he's Austrian, yeah.
But it's like, isn't it funny that this German type character, this analog for Arnold Schwarzenegger, isn't it funny that he's also anti-Semitic? And so, just for the sake of this one joke, you're doing it at the expense of a fan favorite character. Since the Goggles line, Rainier
right,
Wolfcastle has become a very,
Totally.
very friendly line, and like he's always been somewhat offensive. Maybe we're all homosexuals and stuff like that.
Right.
But to make him anti-Semitic is just not fun. And you know, we were all smart enough to detach ourselves and go, all right, I'm not going to not like the Goggles line now because that's secretly Rainier Wolfcastle hated the Jews the whole time. But but you're still.
That's the title of this episode. Secretly, Rainier Wolfcastle hated the Jews.
But you have that going, like, that's in the back of my mind now. And it's like you're sacrificing an entire character, a fan favorite character, for the expense of the stupid joke.
See, I don't even think of it that way. I think of it as, oh, that's really lazy writing, and it makes me dislike.
I mean, it's
the
one.
writer's room.
It's one and the same. It's a joke for
It's the
joke's
same,
sake,
yeah.
and you're doing it at the expense of a character. That's the very basis of what jerk-ass Homer is, where you're making jokes that are funny or you think are funny at the expense of
Not even
Homer's
jokes,
character.
Gags.
Yeah.
Just like mugging for the camera and losing
There's
all
the only
credibility
way
as a
to
character.
shoehorn in this gag or this joke is to tweak or alter the character to make it work.
Yeah.
This anti-Semite one is an example of that, but I'm talking about in general. In Jerk-Ass Homer, there's so many instances of this in post-classic Simpsons where it's like they really want to get this line in here, this joke or this awful pun, but to do it, it's not going to quite.
twist logic
yeah,
around.
it's not going to really sound natural coming out of that character's voice.
Right.
But they don't. They devil may care. They go the joke trumps. The line or the gag trumps the character that they've spent 25, 30 years building.
And as far as I know, there was never any sort of anti-Semitism from Rainier Wolfcastle in the past. It's just he's the loosely Germanic character.
He's the closest
so if
thing.
someone was going to be an anti-Semite, it's probably him, which is kind of offensive to Austrians and Germans.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know what Arnold Schwarzenegger's personal history is with it. Like, if there's any like videos of him saying anti-Semitic stuff, maybe they're trying to make a Schwarzenegger joke and they're using Wolfcastle. But at any rate, they thought it was a funny idea to have this German analog say a racist line, and now you've just sort of, this is nerdy headcanon, or not even headcanon, it's canon,
well, it's canon,
but it
casts a pall over this character.
Yeah, you're basically saying that Rainier Wolfcastle this whole time is, and then how do you like the guy? In any other scene, how do you, anti-Semitic is one of those things where you can't really forget, it's like, oh, that's his, that's just him. He just hates the Jews.
That's Mel Gibson. That's just him.
It's like when somebody's anti-Semitic, it's really hard to rationalize the good in him.
Right.
I mean, you can, but you don't want to. That's not fun.
It left a bad taste in our mouths.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure.
So, and all at the expense of one line that was not related to the plot and wasn't even funny. It's just it's lazy and it's offensive. And not offensive to Jews. Well, it's also offensive to Jews. It's offensive to me as a fan of good writing and comedy.
Yeah. So there you go. We didn't like it. If you couldn't tell. One thing I just want to point out, that was the end of the first act, but I wanted to point out I like that the office for this Jewish Walk of Fame was right at the end/beginning of the Jewish Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
So you come out and it was this walk.
It's just. I mean, maybe that's where they started.
Yeah,
it
just
goes
that
that direction.
Just cut all of this out.
So they go to Jackie Mason to Herschel Krusty, Krusty's father, and great that he's reprising the role 20-something years later. Well, I guess in 2003 it was 10 years later, 12 years later.
Yeah.
They're in some kind of. It seems like Springfield seems to have a Washington Square Park, which is my campus in college, and I don't remember it being particularly Jewish. I mean, there was Jewish people there, but that wasn't its define. That's not. If you say Washington Square Park, you don't. The first thought that comes to mind isn't Jewish people or Orthodox Jews. You think they would come up with a more. Springfield always takes other cities' locales and uses it for their purposes.
Maybe they're just saying New York.
This was a loose connection, maybe. Yeah. So anyway, they're in this Washington Square Park, which is a part of New York City, type analog of Springfield. Lisa is, I don't know why Bart and Lisa are even there. But,
right. That's a good point. Where did they come from?
I don't know, because he bought the dog already, or took the dog.
He had gone into the Jewish district by himself.
I don't know why. I
hadn't even thought about
me neither.
that.
I don't know why they're there.
Bart and Lisa just teleport to Krusty.
Yeah, so they teleport
to
Krusty while he's talking to his dad about getting bar mitzvahed.
Right.
And Lisa brings up all this, and again, it was a little too smart for her own good, and I was like, shut up, Lisa. But she was talking about the Torah and the rules of Judaism, and they try to justify, like, how do you know so much? And she says she has a Jewish...
she said she has a Jewish imaginary friend who's going to Brandeis.
Yeah, and I really like that Jackie Mason was like so enthusiastic, because that seems like a very
I guess
like I don't want to say Jewish, because really in New York, Jewish culture, Italian culture, Greek culture, we're all kind of the same, my big fat Greek wedding type of family dynamics.
Yes.
So it was very funny to me for Herschel to be so excited that this imaginary friend is going to Brandeis, because she goes, yeah, she's going to Brandeis, and he goes, wonderful.
Yeah,
I don't know,
that was all right.
That was very funny to me.
The whole idea of Lisa having an imaginary Jewish friend was a little too like, what?
I don't know. I had an imaginary band of an infinite amount of people. Like I didn't have an imaginary friend. I had an imaginary band. I wasn't part of the band. I was just.
Wait, what?
I wasn't like my.
Wait, an imaginary like a band that
like a
played
music,
songs.
yeah, music band, like
Okay.
rock band, I guess. And I was friends with the band. I wasn't necessarily in the band.
Wait, in your imagination, you're not even in the band.
Yeah, no.
You're just friends with a group
So
of
I had
imaginary
a very,
people.
and this was, I'm talking, maybe unlimited. At least dozens of people are in this, and
Was it like a marching band?
no, it was like a rock band.
Okay.
I remember I had a dream once where they were on Jeopardy with me.
Was it the polyphonic spree? That's a lot of
No,
people having a band.
it was even more. It was like I honestly I don't want to say unlimited, just undefined. I don't know how many. I would used to picture them. You know, I don't know if you remember my old house.
Yeah.
I had like a curved stairway,
Yeah.
and you can kind of see up the stairs. The banisters were.
Sure.
And I would just picture them all sitting up the stairs, like on each step, while I was in the living room.
Okay, this
And
explains a lot about you, Jack.
I mean, I'm sure it tied into the fact that I grew up with my dad had a band, and he was always in the house.
Right.
And everything. They were always rehearsing in the basement.
could
But
be.
yeah, I'm fine with her having it. I'm sure one of them was Jewish.
We don't need to psychoanalyze you.
I'm
and your
sure.
imaginary
I'm sure
friends.
one of them was Jewish. Maybe
Right.
the keyboard player. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, you're saying that all keyboard players are Jews,
Now
huh?
I'm saying all Jews are keyboard
Oh,
players.
okay, that's fine. I don't remember what the context was, but in this scene, they pulled out a crossword puzzle, and the clue was unfunny clown, 6 letters,
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
Krusty.
Well,
I thought that was
that's
really
very.
funny.
So yeah, like I said, I think a lot of Krusty character-based jokes in here were home runs, or at least doubles, and they could have fit in the classic era. That's one of them. I might as well just rattle them off now because it seems like
Well,
a
a
good
couple
time.
other ones that were good in this scene. He says, "It's not my job to make kids laugh," which
Yeah, that's
was
another great one because it's you know it's Krusty as a showbiz hack and
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
it's like that's classic Simpsons Krusty as opposed to the weird jerk ass Krusty of the newer seasons.
Gotta love that jerk-ass
Yeah,
Krusty.
there were a lot of jokes like that. You know, the Slim Fast, the champagne.
I like when he says, he's like, "Have a bar mitzvah as an adult. Are you sure that's kasher?"
Oh yeah, that was
That was a
that's
great,
what I'm talking
that
about.
was a
yeah,
great line.
Like,
that was really funny. So yeah, one thing about this scene is I wondered right away when Krusty was in the office and they said he was never bar mitzvahed. I said, Krusty's father's a rabbi. How could he possibly never be bar mitzvahed? I know they had a falling out, but
it was probably after he
was that
turned
type of
13.
age.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so I was like, I hope they explain that. And then they say, Lisa actually says, how could you not have been bar mitzvahed? Your father's a rabbi. And I was like, aha, I was thinking the same thing Lisa was thinking. And then they go to see Rabbi Krastovsky, and he's just like, you were a putz. You didn't want to be bar mitzvahed. That's a shitty
that's
reason.
terrible.
What terrible writing. It's just like,
your super strict rabbi father would.
yeah. Why didn't you get bar mitzvahed? Oh, you just didn't. Oh, okay. I'm glad that was the reason.
That's even more offensive writing than having Herschel not be not have a conflict with the reality show. Farce of a bar mitzvah like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, you can almost explain. It's like, yeah, he knows show business. He's okay with his son. He's fine with it. You know, bar mitzvah is a bar mitzvah is a bar mitzvah. You know, it's not great writing, but you can believe the character could do that. Whereas this, that you wouldn't believe in a
nothing.
million years that the
Right.
character would ever be okay with that.
Why not have it be? So we know from the previous episode about Krusty and his father that Krusty was much more into comedy and clowning than he was into his Judaism, and it was a whole thing. So why not have it be like, I refuse to have you bar mitzvah because you weren't really embracing the faith. It would have just been like a token.
Yeah.
And now Krusty actually wants to do it. His father should have been very supportive about it.
Yeah.
Instead it's just, you were putz.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it
thanks.
was just really lazy
And
writing.
it was weird, like, he wasn't really all that support. Like, I guess he was supportive, but he wasn't that excited.
Yeah,
like,
you think
my
he'd be like,
son
finally,
is embracing his
you
faith,
think
finally.
yeah. No, it was it was almost like adding Herschel was an afterthought.
Yeah. Speaking of embracing his faith, though, I love that Krusty then goes on his show and he says, "I am a Jew and I'm going to be embracing my faith," and all the kids in the audience like, "Yay!"
Yeah, that was
That was
great.
really,
that
really
was
funny.
great. And then he shows Itchy and Scratchy cartoon.
Yes.
To
A Bris Before Dying
yeah,
was the name of it.
and it was a great. It seems like the few Itchy and Scratchy cartoons we've seen on the post-classic episodes
yeah.
we cover usually are great. They're usually just as good as the classic ones.
Yeah, I loved this one. The whole gimmick of it was that that Scratchy was a moil performing a bris on a baby Itchy.
Yeah.
And Itchy instead takes the scalpel or whatever it is and cuts him up. And they basically push in every Jewish thing possible into this one 30-second cartoon. Because you have like a bris, and he gets cut up, and he gets turned into a glass, and they step on it, and a mazel tov, but they said mazel tov.
Mazel tov, that's funny.
That was cute.
I like that as a pun.
I like the whole thing.
Also,
it was a great Itchy and Scratchy.
Baby Itchy was very cute, but nothing is more adorable than Scratchy speaking Hebrew. It was
Yeah.
so cute. And then poor poor Scratchy. He's always just trying to do the right
Scratchy.
thing, and
Yeah.
Itchy is just out to get him. Like in this
Right.
case, you can kind of see like Itchy going, "I don't want my foreskin taken away."
Right.
But in general, Scratchy's just trying to get on by.
Yeah.
It's just
That's why my favorite Itchy and Scratchy is the one where they just drink lemonade on the porch.
they should all just be like that.
Every cartoon should be a cat and a mouse drinking lemonade.
Like honestly, if post-classic Simpsons have said maybe the comeback season 28
Yeah.
will just be Homer and Bart and Marge on the front porch.
More lemonade. Yes, please. In my butt.
They're going back to the basics. Season
Yeah,
one.
just go back to the basics.
Yeah,
Just
that's
bring in
right.
some more butts and butts and lemonade.
Season 28.
Season
the Butts and Lemonade season.
I'm telling you, and you'll have Emmys coming out your butts.
Out your butts.
and lemonade.
Well, can we also have frosty chocolate milk butts?
I think it's like frosty chocolate lemonade because that one makes
No. Frosty chocolate milk butts is what I went with. So they're just like, well, we want someone who's not going to be as good as Krusty, and so he can easily take the show back. What about Homer? And Homer just kind of
he's
comes
right
in and
there.
takes
Again,
over the
why
show.
is he there?
Why is Homer there? That's a
is he
great
there?
question. He teleports in
He
also.
used the same teleporting bracelet that Martin Lisa
That's
used.
right.
Not cool. Doctor Who thinks that teleporting time travel technology is crass.
All right.
Although he'll use it if he has to, like in
Isn't the TARDIS
like
a
in the Big
teleporter?
Bang. No, like one of those ones you wear on your, like Captain Jack uses, where you have.
Oh,
and you just,
right.
Yeah, it's sloppy, it's loose.
Okay.
But he'll use it if he has to.
Do we want to talk about the whole Homer plot now?
Let's
you wanna
get out of the way.
So Homer takes over Krusty's show.
Yeah, but what's interesting is he's still a talk show format, but now it's more of like a late night talk show.
Well, was
but he's-
Krusty's show a talk show?
Yeah, Krusty's like a variety kids
It's a
variety
kids
talk
variety
yeah.
show, but
It's
Homer
like the-
takes it over and immediately changes into
to
this
a
like
late night
adult
talk.
panel show.
Yeah, it's like politically incorrect or whatever.
Why?
But it still has a kids audience because Sideshow Mel goes, "Are you ready to listen quietly?" Which I thought was really funny because it's just a funny line and
It
it's
was
a funny
very,
Sideshow
very
Mel delivery.
funnily
It
delivered
was very
by Mel.
funnily delivered.
But
yeah.
I just don't understand, like, Homer takes over the Krusty show, and he's been Krusty in the past. Homer has been a clown before.
I didn't even think of that.
So why is he not just being a clown?
Why is he changing the format? Yeah.
He comes on as himself, and he brings on 3 other adults to talk.
You would
like,
think it would be kind of easy
politics.
because the Krusty variety show has a cast of characters.
Yeah.
So really, you just have to swap out the one character, and it will, in effect, be the same show.
It's just weird.
I don't know, unless they were doing, where you just change the show on a Friday, it's just a different show. Like how Talk of the Nation on NPR on Friday would be Science Friday. I don't know. This is my Science Friday recap.
That's a loose reading of it.
Yeah, it's weird.
it's
but
weird.
It sucks that it was so shoehorned in.
Pop.
Because it's actually a great idea. I wouldn't have minded this as an A plot. Homer
That could have been
becomes
an
a
A-plot,
late
yeah.
night talk show.
Yeah.
In general, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, just like the rest of this episode. But I
was
feel
fine.
like they could have done more with it.
Yeah.
It could have been beefier, and it just seems like a waste of a great story idea. And we said this before in the show. It's just so rare to come across an idea for a Simpsons episode anymore
That hadn't been done.
Where that hasn't been done. But you could say, oh, this could have been a season 5 episode.
Right.
Yeah, and like that's that plot. This could have been done in
Yeah.
any season after season 2 or 3.
As it was, I just thought it was taking away a lot of time from the Krusty story, and I was just like, I don't care about Homer's
they would
plot. You
only
just shoved Homer in for no reason.
And this ties back into what we were saying about how there wasn't much to do with the bar mitzvah story and no conflict between him and his father. But the only times they would cut back to the A plot, the Krusty, was him training, and then there'd be a gag about him eating pork or something like that. But there was
Right.
nothing pushing the story forward. It was just checking in with the training, basically.
Yeah. What's weird is that Homer takes over the Krusty show. It basically becomes a podcast because it's just him and 3 guests just like shooting the shit and riffing and being like, how about some new oldies geniuses?
I see. A lot
I like
of the lines
that.
were funny. I liked Lenny being identified. Like the only thing you can identify Lenny as is a 3-time juror.
Yeah, right.
Like, I like that. I love the. Can we get some new oldies? Which
Yeah.
we do have now. You put on the oldie station, and
They're playing
first
deeper
of all,
cuts.
doo-wop's not on there anymore. Anything pre-Beatles
Well,
is gone.
yeah.
And second of all, like late '80s, early '90s is on there, and that's
Right.
ridiculous.
They're playing Nirvana on the classic rock stations.
Yeah. So I like the Lenny. I also like the topics that they had. Miss USA versus Miss America, who has more power, and I like Carl saying I think one's elected and one's appointed. Like that kind of
Yeah, that's pretty good.
weird thinking of the Miss America pageant was funny to me.
I thought this was an interesting plot, but like you said, it should have been an A plot because they have to move it along real quick. Where
Yeah.
I think it was the first episode that Homer's hosting. all of a sudden everyone like loves it, and like a woman is getting her sonogram, and she's like, put on this show. I'm much more interested in that.
There's one gag where Homer's talking about how he hates being stuck in seats, and it's showing how the audience relates. And comic book guy is shown stuck in a teacup chair.
Yeah,
and he's just like, I relate. I'm stuck in this teacup. I thought. This is very specific. This might be in the deleted scenes. I thought the better way to do that joke would be to show a close-up of him like hunched, and you can tell he's stuck in a seat, and saying, "I agree, I'm stuck in a seat," and then pull out and the gag be. It's like it's not just a chair; it's a teacup from Disney World.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was weird that. The way they do it is you see the cup right away, and then he just says the joke. He goes, I'm stuck in a teacup.
They kind of just spoil the joke.
Yeah, it's really weird how quickly he just becomes popular.
Yeah, and I like, why did the show have to be completely different for Homer to become so successful? It's just like, and
they wanted to do Homer does a talk show panel, and this was the best way to cram it in.
But it didn't have anything to do with the Krusty plot.
No.
Krusty gets fired, sort of, so he goes to Fox for his variety show.
Yeah,
but
that's how it ties in.
But it could have just been Krusty, when he comes back, was going to do a big special about his bar mitzvah. He didn't need to get fired. He didn't need to have it be like,
I guess they thought they needed stakes, which they do, but this is very
I guess
token.
It just, in my rewriting of the episode in my head, the stakes would have been with his father. But whatever.
There is a plot here, and again, I wish they would have done more with it. And it might have worked as a B plot. I agree, this could have been a great A plot, but I think it could have been a solid B plot, and it could have been done with the time constraints if they were economical with their writing. It was all really tight. It wasn't, but I think there was a good story here that they missed out on, where they were playing with the idea of the power goes to Homer's head. He becomes super popular. Everybody loves his show, and now the power is going to his head. He starts firing people who disagree with him. He fires Lenny.
Right. I mean, they loosely did this.
And then he fires Barney, and then they have Disco Stew, but he still has a Lenny
Disco
mug.
Stew knows his place.
And I love that he had the Lenny mug. But so I love that Lisa's like, you're going, you know what you could do with this power, and he has this weird fantasy of saving Lincoln.
Yes, that was great.
Like the idea of him just having the generic sense of the word power.
Power, meaning you can do anything.
Means time travel, and so he saves Lincoln, and then he later has another fantasy where he saves Kennedy.
Yep,
and it's
with Lincoln.
Yeah, it's really drawn out. They're playing it like a conspiracy movie where they're zooming in on the book depository.
Right.
Homer takes out a very buff Lee Harvey Oswald, and then Lincoln joins him. I honestly would much rather just watch a spin-off of Homer teaming like growing a team
Homer
of assassinated presidents. Like he gets Garfield in there. He gets McKinley.
For a second, I forgot there was a President Garfield, and I thought you meant the cat.
Yeah, well, he gets that. He gets
Garfield the cat too.
And so it's him, McKinley, Kennedy, Lincoln, Garfield, and also Garfield the cat, and the five of them just travel through
Homer's time traveling commandos.
I'd watch that.
I'd watch that. Season 28, Between the Butts and Lemonade.
Yeah, but the main thrust of this episode is then he realizes he could use his power for good.
Well, he doesn't even realize it. Lisa tells him to do it, and Bart says, no, don't do that. And he says, well, I listened to Bart last week, so I'll listen to Lisa this week.
And again, it really makes no sense for the character. So now he's on air, and he's doing... This is also kind of like the end of Stonecutters, where he uses his power for good, and he actually is doing the right thing and like painting homes and everything, but the Stonecutters rebel against him. So he's actually doing the right thing now, and he's talking about like Argentinian currency and the IMF. Right. The thing is, and he's very passionate about it, and it's great, except the thing is, he wouldn't be passionate about it. I can see, just like with the Stonecutters, I can see Homer wanting to do the right thing and using his power for good, but that wouldn't automatically make him passionate about Argentinian finance.
Right,
like,
he's
that
just
doesn't
doing it
make
because
any
Lisa
sense.
said to.
I think, but and I could see him doing it because Lisa said to, but he shouldn't still have this genuine emotional connection, like, oh God, the poor Argentinians, and he's crying.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense. What I think the way to make this work, rewriting the episode, is do a network parody where Homer is so popular and he's become a populist. He has the power of the people, and now he turns his attention rather than towards Argentinian finance, which what the fuck, he turns his attention to the network. Saying like, I'm sick of these dumb reality shows. I'm sick of this. Something that is he's using his power for quote unquote good, but it's something Homer would want. It's I want extra. This is a terrible example. I want extra burgers. Like why do I get fries with my burger at the Krusty Burger? I should get a burger with my burger. Something that Homer is like Homer's using his power for Homer good. Yeah. And like that upsets the network somehow, and they're like, oh no, he's unsettling the status quo. We have to take him down.
Right. That's an A plot though. That's not this.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, maybe it would be hard to squeeze that into a B plot. Maybe not impossible if they're very economical with the
I
writing.
mean, I actually wouldn't want to see that plot in this episode. Like,
Yeah,
this
you're right.
is-
It should be
this
an
is
A
sold as
plot.
a
It should
Krusty bar
it should have
mitzvah
been an A
episode.
plot, and it sucks because you really can't. I mean, they can do the same story over and over. They do it all the time, but I feel like this is the only talk show episode we're gonna get. But think about it: Simpsons has done so many loose movie parodies of so many classic movies. They've never really done a network parody. There's
No.
lines here and there and references to the movie,
I
but
think
they've
it's a
never
good
done
idea as a separate episode.
Yeah.
I think,
Maybe they did do it. I
I
think there might be a Sideshow Bob episode that's sort of like that. I don't know.
All right,
Anyway,
well, write in. Let us know.
but
listeners.
yeah, it's that would have been great. Homer to use his popularity to turn on the network, but they didn't do that, and it made no sense. And he cried about the IMF and
Right.
Argentinian currency.
Before he even changed the show, one thing I just wanted to point out when they had Mo on Homer's show, and he says like, now we had a nice conversation
God.
about dirty words you can spell with your calculator. That's a funny idea, but then they show it,
was-
where Mo is writing boobs, and then he goes, boobs, like what ladies
It
got.
was
That
it was a
terrible.
double extra beetle arm. So him saying him again, just like the Miss America, Miss USA.
Yeah.
Him thinking that curses on calculators is a good topic to talk about.
Oh, it's a great topic to talk about.
So it's funny that like Mo references it. You're right.
Yeah.
And then the extra beat is him taking the calculator. They show close up of the calculator
Right, it
saying
says
boobs.
boobs.
They hold on it, and then an extra beat saying like
Mo,
like
yeah,
like ladies got.
Like ladies got.
Come on,
Just-
come on.
just come-
Who wrote this episode? Who
Who did write this
Not even just
episode?
I don't even mean the writer because I hate to assign blame to one person, but the team of writers in this room. Why are they being so fucking lazy?
It was Joel H. Cohen wrote this episode.
He's written a lot.
He's written a lot, and I'm seeing what else he wrote.
It's so fucking lazy of not just him,
He
but
also
the
wrote Brawl in the Family. Which
It's
we
lazy.
liked.
It's lazy of the entire writers' room. It's lazy of the producers. It's this. These are the things that should.
I don't know that it's lazy.
It's
but it is-
lazy. It's lazy writing. It's exactly
well,
what it
It's
is.
not lazy writing because you're adding extra things on something that doesn't
Yes,
need to be
and
there.
when you go
you're
through a
making
second draft, you
more-
take those things out. That's lazy. It's lazy rewriting.
Okay, I agree with that. I agree. With
It's
that.
lazy rewriting.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing. This is a little bit later, I think, but that completely contradicts itself. Which is again, fuck this episode. That's just contradicting itself all over the place. But so they fire Krusty and they say, right now we want reality, not stars. Again, they're very much a product of 2003.
Yeah.
But the reason they fired Krusty is because Homer was a popular star. Like,
Right.
yes, it's sort of reality, but
It's
only
not-
in the
it's-
same
it's
way
the-
Krusty's show was
Exactly.
reality.
They're both talk
show.
variety type
Yeah.
shows.
So
yeah.
maybe that's not reality TV, but they're both the same type of
both the
reality.
same type of thing,
And then
yeah.
Homer was popular. Homer was the star. That they were appealing to Homer.
Yeah.
It doesn't make
Doesn't make any
sense. They're
sense. Doesn't
firing
make any
Krusty
sense.
because he's like Homer.
Yeah.
It's just that maybe lazy writing's not the right term here. You know what? I'm just gonna say bad writing. It's just bad writing.
Just to wrap up the Homer plot real quick, there was one thing I liked, and it was kind of the same thing as the Mo thing. I don't remember what happened, but Homer was choking Bart on the show.
Yeah.
And I like it cuts to Dr. Hibbert watching at home, and he says, so that's why Bart has all those broken tracheal bones. Great line. And then they followed it up with a line that was like, oh, I never believed that he had blah, 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 blah. And it was like, I don't even remember what it was, but it was just not as funny.
Yeah.
Like, it was like Dr. Hibbert saying, oh, that's why Bart has all those broken tracheal bones. That's funny. That
Yeah.
worked for me. And then cut it there.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
Although
the line.
I thought it was a little weird that he was like so casual about it. You think he'd be like, "Oh my
Well, yeah,
God!"
I mean-
Homer is breaking
Yes.
Bart's spine and neck
on
bones.
national television. Yeah. And then Homer is fired from his show. He walks out, and they're changing his parking spot.
Yeah,
It said
yeah.
Homer Simpson. They paint over it and paint on audio department, which was odd.
The joke being that that's how important he was, even
I
though he was the
guess.
big star. Again, it's
guess.
just contradicting itself all over the place.
And I like when the episode presages my
Yeah.
criticisms, because
Yeah.
I was like, Homer's car isn't even in his parking spot.
Yeah.
And then he finally says, where's my car? And they had thrown it in the dumpster.
I like that they just
which was
threw it in the
funny. I
dumpster.
like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
There's also when Homer's downfall and nobody gives a shit about his show anymore because he's too political.
Yeah.
There was a line I really liked where they're watching it in the old folks' home, and Grandpa's like, "I knew Homer would blow it." He's like, "Let's change the channel," and but
Right.
the remote's on the floor about 2 feet away, and Grandpa goes, might as well be in China."
Yeah,
And
classic.
I mean, I hate
We've
this.
all been
I
there,
hate to
folks.
sound lazy. I mean, if the remote is not in hand reach,
Yeah.
I might just watch something for 2 hours and that I don't want to watch.
That's how you watched Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
No, I watch that intentionally.
Oh, okay. Well, I was trying to give you an out.
Not the worst movie.
We had this conversation
Not
already.
the worst movie.
That's it for Homer.
And then Hibbert with he talks about the broken tracheal. It is a nice transition from B plot to A plot because then he's like, I can't believe Bart's neck is broken, and then he changes the channel to Krusty's bar mitzvah, and then that's how you transition into this final bar mitzvah scene.
Yes.
So that was cool.
So let's talk about Krusty's epic Fox televised bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
First, before we even get there was a moment sometime in the second act I just want to point out where Krusty, his dad is telling him that he can't eat milk and meat and he can't eat pork, and Krusty's eating a sandwich and you turn and there's an entire pig in it.
Yeah.
Love that. So that was a good moment. He gets fired, Krusty, and he goes to Fox to air his bar mitzvah spectacular.
Yeah.
Which is fine, and I mean, I guess it's not fine. Why are they airing a bar mitzvah?
I guess it's a celebrity.
There's no reason.
It's a celebrity bar mitzvah, which honestly, if it hasn't happened yet, I guarantee in the next 10, 15 years there will be a celebrity bar mitzvah.
You're probably right.
There's been celebrity weddings.
But it just seemed like he goes to Fox and asks, like, would you guys be interested in airing my bar mitzvah? And they're like, yep.
Yeah,
I
because
guess
it's reality.
I guess it's a commentary on Fox airing all the crappy reality shows.
And not just crappy reality shows, but
Joe
like those
Millionaire.
big event shows they would have, like those,
Temptation Island.
I'm not even talking about like reality. Like Fox would have these big event type shows,
well,
like where
Krusty was
there's like a
referencing
stage.
those types of reality shows in that meeting.
This isn't exactly what I'm talking about because it was it was episodic. There was multiple. It wasn't a one-off. But what's very emblematic
Swan.
of that type of show was the Guinness Book of World Records show that was on Fox.
That was an actual show, though.
Yeah. But so that's what I just said. So, but in that it had like a big stage and like lots of fancy lights. I think Who Wants to Be a Millionaire might have been the one that pioneered all that.
Oh, definitely.
But like the artificial stage and the lights, and they would just make such a big deal out of the most mundane crap. That's
Right,
what
people
I think.
trying to break records,
Yeah, and I think that's what this was more of, where those shows where there's a big stage and a live studio audience and it's a 360 theater. And,
Right.
Yeah, it's just. I don't think those are still a thing, but maybe they are. I keep seeing these ads for this Neil Patrick Harris show, Best Week Ever, and that looks like it's somewhat similar. Who watches this crap?
That's not Best Week Ever was a show on VH1.
Well,
Best Night Ever or
I don't
something?
know. Who watches this shit?
Well, I've never
grandmas?
I've never seen it, but that's just a variety show. Like
Who watches variety shows can be good, but I feel like these are all like just
I mean,
cynical lowest common denominator crap.
I don't
that
know
they're just
that
churning
it
out.
is directed towards 30-something males.
I guess I don't know. It just
yeah.
seems like a waste.
So
I don't know. I feel like we're turning into the Running Man as a society.
this podcast,
Yes, this podcast. Well, we do talk about Stephen King a lot.
we do Running Man movie better than the book.
So they bring in Mr. T. Oh,
yeah,
I wanted
so
to look up
they're
this
gonna
Chevy Chase
do
thing.
this. They're gonna do. Fox agrees to do this big bar mitzvah. I like that the sign for the bar mitzvah is warning: first 2 rows may get converted.
Yeah, that's funny.
That was a good gag. And then they cut to the Beach Boys Experience, who sing. It's not the actual Beach Boys.
Well, the joke here also is, and now the Beach Boys
Experience. Yes. And they sing a parody of Kokomo that is instead all about bar mitzvahs. That was funny. I don't remember any actual lines.
Yeah,
but it was funny
just
enough,
Change the words.
Yeah, change the words from Kokomo. And then they bring out Mr. T. We talked a little bit about him. I think he was a good choice for random guest.
Look,
You
Mr.
could
T.
believe that Mr. T would be on one of those Fox event type
definitely,
shows.
and he's a very funny personality and
Yeah.
seems like a very genuine guy. But
Yeah.
I don't think most of his jokes weren't very funny. The closest ones that made me laugh, and they were okay, they weren't great, were Krusty brings up the Chevy Chase roast and says, "Last time we saw each other was at the Chevy Chase," and Mr. T is like, "Yeah, we were too hard
We were
on
a
the
little
fool."
too hard on the fool.
Yeah, like that was funny, and then
Well, actually, he didn't say the fool because then Krusty goes, "Oh, would you say you pitied him?" And Mr. T doesn't bite and doesn't say
that
it.
was like whatever. That was okay.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, so the execs are very happy with the bar mitzvah. They say the ratings are good. Raymond rerun good.
yeah.
I like that line a lot.
Yeah, that was a good line.
It's just a very funny
Raymond
turn of
rerun.
phrase. Raymond rerun good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
That's Everybody Loves Raymond for you kids. It was a very popular show.
I thought it was just a guy named Raymond.
I never really watched it regularly. I've seen a few episodes here and there. My
it's a good
family obsessed with it. Yeah, obsessed with it.
It's a funny show. To a certain type of person. A dum-dum. Your
Yeah.
family's dumb is what I'm saying.
It looked like it was like a tier lower than Seinfeld, or a couple tiers lower than Seinfeld, but like
Yeah.
4 or 3 cameras. I'm a big Home Improvement fan. It seems like it would be like that kind of level of quality.
I would say it's better than Home Improvement, but I'm not a big Home Improvement fan, as you
are
know.
wrong, sir. Yeah, so again, we've already talked about why if there was a conflict with his father, then this other bar mitzvah would have made sense. So they
It just peters out.
Yeah, it just peters out. They go to this bar mitzvah. There was another line I really liked where Homer thinks it's a wedding, and he goes, "Why do I have this garter?" And either Patty or I guess Selma said, "I was trying to hit the dentist." I thought that was a funny line.
That is a good line. And it ends with Mr. T is in a flaming, spinning menorah.
Oh, that's the other.
That's the moment where Krusty's dad is like kind of ashamed, and then it turns into a regular bar mitzvah.
That was probably the only Mr. T line I really liked in the whole thing. Was
I don't even remember what the line was.
He says, "Oh man, I wish I'd made better investments." Like, he's spinning on this menorah, so he's obviously made a bad career choice, and he's like, he wishes in the '80s when he was more popular, he had spent his money better. I like that line, but yeah, it's a shame because Mr. T seems like such a great get, and I don't think they wrote anything good for him besides, I guess, the pity the fool line and the investments line.
Yeah.
Who has more power, Miss America or Miss USA?
I think one's elected and the other one's appointed.
Okay, so that is it for Today I Am a Clown. It is time to rank this episode on our 4-factor hippo analysis scale of magic and whimsy. I'm just going to call it that from now on.
Sure.
We're going to be looking at 4 things: the humor of the episode, the integrity, the production values, and the originality. Giving a 0 to 5 rating to each. So, Jack, let's put 2 minutes on the clock.
Beep boop, beep boop boop beep boop. Beep boop boop beep boop. Beep boop boop beep beep boop.
Okay, so 2 minutes are on the clock. Here we go. The humor of this episode, Jack, what are you thinking?
I was thinking 3.5 because,
Really?
like I said, this was one of the there was a lot of Krusty jokes that landed very well for me and the Homer lines, but I think that's too high. I'm going to go 3.
I'm going to also go 3. Like you just said, above average, but not much above average.
Yeah.
The integrity of this episode. Not the worst for integrity, but not the best.
Not one of the main characters. Like I said, they got a lot of the Krusty character right, but they didn't get any Herschel's character right. He barely was a character.
Right. The fact that there was such a missed opportunity to do a better Krusty father story, like we've been saying this entire episode, I'm going to ding it points for that. I
In
feel
the story, yeah. And then I'm also going to ding a lot of points for the originality because the structure and the storytelling was so poor.
Yeah.
But Homer shouldn't be so passionate about Argentinian finance. I'm going to give it...
So that's the one that gets you,
I don't know, either 1.5 or 2. I'm not sure.
I'm thinking slightly below average. I'm going to go 2.
Maybe I'll go 2.
So far, we're doing the same numbers. Production values. There were some things I liked in this episode. I thought that the dogs were cute. I loved the Itchy and Scratchy episode. I thought it looked really good.
Yeah, it was pretty average to me. If the only thing that sticks out to me was the very epic Oliver Stone-esque direction of the Kennedy fantasy.
Yeah,
but if anything, but that was kind of misplaced though. So this didn't really belong in a throwaway flashback joke.
Yeah,
it was too much. 2.5.
I'm gonna go slightly above average and say 3. And finally, the originality of this episode.
Well,
retreading a lot of things we've seen in other episodes.
Structurally, it was poor.
Bringing in the Simpsons episode guide in universe. I'm going to ding a point for, not a whole point for that, but some for that.
So what are you going to give it?
I'm thinking a 2.
I'm gonna go 1.5, maybe even a 1. It had really good story and it blew it. It had both the A plot and the B plot were solid.
You're right. I'm gonna go down to 1.5 for that, and for all the missed opportunity type things that we talked about.
All right. So if you're going 1.5, then I won't go to 1. I'll stick with a 1.5.
Okay, so we have crunched our numbers, and season 15's Today I Am a Clown has ranked as a slightly better episode than Gone Maggie Gone, and a slightly worse episode than Bart Mangled Banner, which puts it at number 43 on our list right now. Pretty good.
43 out of 60.
43 out of 60 episodes.
All right, that's not bad.
That's on the higher
I'm surprised
end.
Bart Mangled Banner is so far down there. I mean, I'm not surprised. It's not that great an episode, but it was our least worst episode ever for a
while.
Couple weeks.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that Jewel Baby episode is so low or high or however you want to look at it.
Look, we liked that it was inventive and we liked how it was animated, so that was a lot of points.
Fine.
Okay, so that is it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever. If you have an episode you would like to suggest that we watch, you can do that on our website. There's a form you can fill out. It's weepodcast.com. That's weepodcast.com. And while you're there, you should click through our Amazon links and help support the show that way. You can buy our Simpsons movie commentary, which is available through that website. And next week, next Tuesday, in fact, we're going to be releasing our second movie commentary track. Not for a Simpsons movie. There's only one of those.
Yeah.
Instead,
Sync Points is not a Simpsons series. We started with the Simpsons movie, but it's going to be whatever the fuck we feel like watching.
Right. And this month, we feel like watching Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. So get ready for that. $2 for the commentary track that we're going to put out.
Buy it for your loved ones.
Buy it for your loved
Put
ones.
it in their stocking somehow.
Put it on a USB drive and say, I bought two idiots talking about a movie. This is for you, Jack. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is.
Why are these voices?
That's your uncle, I guess. But that's going to be coming out on December 15th, so look out for that. It'll be all over our website and everything. And while you're also on our website, you can check out our Reddit, our Facebook, our Twitter, all that fun stuff. A lot of great conversations happening on our subreddit. It's r/worst episode ever.
Yeah, a lot of people complaining about our voices and probably voting one of them off.
At least one person swore off the show.
More than that. So.
Well, one that we know of confirmed. Not a big Hemus fan, I guess.
Who is?
I am a very big Hemus fan, believe it or not.
Because you're not him.
But I am not him. So that is it for this episode. I said that already. If you want to follow us on Twitter, Jack, where are you at?
I am at Jackie No Breaks.
And I am at Then Dan Says. And if you're in the Brooklyn area, you can come to Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia. You've just missed it. It's the first Thursday of every month. That is co-hosted by me and friend of the show, Dan Ozzie, Berry Park in Brooklyn. That's a lot of fun. Google around Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia. You can find other trivia nights in your area. Next week, we are coming back. And since we are in the heart of Deck the Halls, like
DEC.
December,
Got it.
Halls. We're going to be watching, I don't even know if it's not really a Christmas episode, but it is
It's
a
a winter
episode.
episode, yeah.
Season 12's Skinner's Sense of Snow.
Ooh, okay.
So that should be an exciting one. Come back next week for that. And, Jack, how do we always close the show?
Well, we say 3 simple words. I love you.
Mistletoe!